Hello everyone, welcome back. So I think I'm going to just put a few rows of carrots in and some parsnips today. It's about 5 o'clock after work and it's still light. We can still do things at this time of the day, so it's fantastic. Apologies if there's a bit of noise from the site, they're banging and sawing, all that sort of stuff. But hopefully it won't interfere with the video too much. So I've weeded and prepared these beds. They've just got some spent compost on them from last year and some potash, and I've checked the temperature and the soil's warmed up a little bit overnight and today. Still not ideal, I'd like it to be warmer, but it's about 7.5, 8 degrees now, which parsnips and carrots will germinate at, albeit a lot slower than if it was 12 or 14 degrees. So, but you're probably not going to get that at this time of the year. So I'm going to put in a few rows, and the plan is to have all of this bed as carrots this year, which it was last year, but also half of this bed, and then half of this bed and that bed is going to be parsnips, because we've eaten all the carrots that we grew last year and we're getting through the parsnips pretty quick too. And I have to say the parsnips are out of this world. They were left in the ground, a lot of them, all winter, and they are so sweet. And that's the secret with a lot of the carrots, parsnips, sprouts. If you let the frosts get on them, it turns the starch to sugar, and they are so sweet. You'd think they'd been roasted in honey or something, but they're just amazing. If we had taster vision, I'd let you have a sample. So I'll get some seeds and we'll get cracking. What I've done is I've put this stick there. That's as far as I'm going to go with the sowing today. So in that area, that's probably, I don't know, 14, 16 inches, something like that. I'll get 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll get 4 rows in there, so we'll go up to that point there, and leaving about 3 inches between the rows. And so I'll just put a label there so I know where I'm going to, and then with a stick or your finger if you want to, just a shallow furrow. Don't have to be very deep. Like I say, 3 inches or so apart. We might only get 3 rows in there, that's okay. The 4th row would be roughly where the label is, so we'll go to there, and I'll put the stick right at the edge of this furrow here so I know where I got to, because I'll I'll successionally sow carrots throughout the season. So in a couple of weeks I'll sow another 3 or 4 rows, maybe a different variety, and by the end of spring, early summer, this bed and a half will be full of carrots. So I've got seeds. Have we got here? This is an open packet from last year, which is still in date, December 24, and these are early Nantes. Grown these a lot over the years, and they're really quite a robust carrot. Don't seem to suffer with many problems. If you've never sown carrot seeds before, I'll show you how small the seeds are. They are pretty tiny. So trying to sow one is really quite difficult. And you can, if you want to, try and sow an evenly scattered row down each furrow. Or what I try to do, and it isn't very easy because the seeds are so small, but I try to drop a few every couple of inches. And the reason for that is you're going to thin them out anyway, and you're going to thin them out to about 2 inches. So if you can drop the seeds roughly at that spacing, you're saving yourself a little bit of wastage, I think, in the seeds. Now, these are going to take a while to come up, I would imagine, because of temperature, and these furrows are maybe just a little bit deep. You want about 10 millimeters, something like that, in depth. And there's two ways you can look at thinning out. You can just thin them out and throw the seedlings or the thinnings away, or you could let them get a bit bigger and pull them as baby carrots, and then you're not wasting the thinnings. But it depends how crowded your rows are getting. And a packet of carrot seeds goes a long way. And you will always oversow carrots, you can't help it, unless you're going to spend a long time picking individual seeds out. Which I don't have the time for tonight. If I tried that, it would be dark. So I'll put these back in there. Now, if you were sowing into dry soil, I would advise you to, when you've made the furrow, before you sow the seeds, fill the furrow with some water and let it soak in. Because the seeds are so small, they really need good contact with the compost. So by watering the furrow before you sow the seeds, and then watering that area again when you've covered the seeds over, you're making sure that the seeds have got good contact with the compost. But this soil is so wet that I don't think it's going to make any difference. So then I'm just going to very gently cover those over. And that is really all there is to it. Pull any weeds out. You don't, because the carrot seeds are so tender and fragile when they come up, you don't want them competing with any weeds or anything like that. And I am pushing it a little bit here with the temperatures and the weather. But what's the worst that can happen? Nothing comes up and I end up sowing this area again a bit later in the year. And as I say, the soil's warmed up a little bit, and what I'm going to do now is cover this area with a compost bag, and then that will help to put some heat into the soil when we have a little bit of sun in the day, put it black side up, and that will help warm up the soil. So I'll put my label in, and I'll put it at the end of this row by the stick, and then I know that everything this side of the label is early Nantes. So over here I'm going to put the parsnips, and we grew parsnips in here last year. There was no disease or anything, so I'm quite happy to grow them here again. What's that? That's quite a root from something. Get that out. And all I'm going to do is make a small hole about every 6 inches. So of a 6-inch grid. Now, I'm not going to do the whole of this area at the moment, because again I'll successionally sow them. So we'll perhaps go about halfway, and if you can, try and get the hole about 10 millimeters. These are maybe a bit deep, but that's mainly because the soil's so damp. So that's my marker, so where the parsnips start. I need another marker here so I know where I got to. There we go. I'm going to jump up on the wall and we'll sow some seeds. Now, parsnip seeds are notoriously bad at germinating. So I always sow 3. If the seeds are in date, I sow 3 if I want 1 parsnip. So in each one of these holes I'll put 3 seeds minimum. If 4 go in, I don't mind, that's okay. Yeah, I think 4 went in that one. Now, if you wanted to, you could chip these the same as you would with peas or other seeds. Just put them on some damp kitchen roll, but I just do this method. I tend to find if you put 3 in each hole, you should get 1. And when they germinate, if more than 1 comes up, then I will snip the weak ones off with some scissors. I won't pull them out because that'll disturb the root of the one I want to leave. Just snip them off, and that will do. Leave it to carry on. And with parsnips, once they're growing, there's not much that bothers them really, pest wise. Not that I've found. The odd slug maybe, but and you just leave them, and you're looking 6 to 9 months really for them to germinate, to harvest. So I'm just going to cover those over. And these are white gem variety. Really nice parsnip. And I won't sow any more in here until I see these starting to germinate, and that's probably going to be 3 or 4 weeks. They can be really slow to germinate, so be patient. So there we are, guys, some more seed sown. Other than broad beans, that's the first direct sowings this year, and it's nice to get things sown in the ground, but pushing the boundaries a little bit with temperature. But they'll just take a bit longer, hopefully, and it's a start. Leave it a few weeks now and then sow some more. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please give it a thumbs up, and if you enjoy this sort of content, then please subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.